suicide prevention advocate. I'm an author of the book To Live or Not to Live. It's at the reception as you come in. And it's an honor to be here, basically, because when I was starting out in the mental health space, I didn't know anyone. I wrote my book, I shelved it. I'm like, when I get someone who needs it, when I get someone who requires it, I'll give it to that particular person. I didn't know there was this whole community of loving people, supporting each other, and helping each other. But it has been such an eye-opener, and it has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Share more. Don't fear. Share more. Did you even finish the 5 minutes? No. Don't be shy.
I'm just that. Anyway, my struggle with mental health started way in primary school. But I found out I was struggling when I started my recovery journey. Then I got to realize that there's so many people struggling and they do not know that they're struggling, they do not know they have an issue, they do not even know the root causes, they do not know their triggers because they lack information and education about it. So that was me. When I was in primary school, I struggled a lot with self-esteem. Yes, I would speak. I was a very good debater. I was writing the newsletter for my school then. But then I felt like I had to always work so hard to make friends. Because the school I was in, it was not academics that made you friends. Me, I knew as long as you were first in class, the second, you're going to automatically make friends. I didn't think you had to be some extraordinary person, you had to go to specific places. I didn't know all that. So that's where my struggle came. Like, I started to try so hard to do the things that I thought were acceptable in the society I was in. And the more I did that, I put up charades, I put up facades that I didn't know who I was at the end of the day. Because I was so used to masking, it became normal. Like I would not even know something is wrong with me. I would not know what made me angry or what made me sad because I'm constantly performing. When I crossed over to secondary school, I got kind of a sigh of relief because in secondary school it didn't matter where you're coming from, what your background was, as long as you performed well in class, it's all good. I just joined secondary school. I'm enjoying secondary school. My dad passes on. And me and my dad were very, very close. I remember growing up, I didn't have a relationship with my mom because all the time I was with my dad. He's the one to take me to school, to pick me from school. I attend meetings with him. My weekends I spend with him all the time. And he would always constantly tell me, you're my professor, you're my doctor, you're extraordinary, you're intelligent. And that was beautiful because he introduced me to spaces that I didn't think I would be in. He would always tell me that there's no one under the sun that you can never approach. Everyone is human, everyone has flesh like you. If you work towards that, you'll always be able, if you educate yourself and know this person, you'll always be able to hold a conversation with them. So I knew I had to educate myself on specific topics if I to approach someone, but there's no one else, no one I could not approach, which was good, but kind of also put me on pressure. I would feel some kind of way when I did not perform as expected, when I failed at a presentation, when I failed at a performance. I would always feel like I've not matched up to his expectations. I'm not going to be that girl he bragged about. I was his handbag. All his friends still did. Most of them thought I was the only child. Yet I was just me and their firstborn to 4 other siblings. So when he passed, I felt like, okay, now who is going to encourage me? Who am I going to talk to? Do I have to cultivate friendships and relationships once again? because now my mom is not known like my dad was. And I had had that experience of people associating with me because of who my dad was, people talking to us because of who our dad was. So now, that very year, we lost our house. He passed on in June, we lost our house in December. And now we had to relocate, we start staying in church, or you find somewhere to stay. But I remember during that time, in my family, like, having a godparent is actually really, really important. Like, they follow up their duties and all that. So my siblings were taken to their godparents, and then my mom is like, for you a big girl, we shall figure out things together. So most of the times, I would be with her. In case there was a crisis, it would be like, she would always be like, for you a big girl. Which was good and bad at the same time. I felt good that my mom would rely on me at the same time, but then we had to shield so much from my siblings. So I could not break. There was no time to first think about what's going on, first wallow in your sorrow, or first grieve whatever is going on. You had to get up and move. And during that time, I was very close to a certain cousin of mine and some friends of mine. Then one of them passed on due to cancer. Shortly after moving through school, in HSC, I could not afford tuition anymore. So my classmates mobilized and paid for me tuition until my last paper. It was such a beautiful thing. But then I felt like I'm now open to them. Like, I'm now vulnerable. They can do with me as they please. I felt like I could still not pick myself up or live my life the way I was living it. Because I was so used to masking, I would never let anyone know I'm lacking. I would never let anyone know I'm struggling with anything. I would always just be like, no, it's okay. I can't handle, even when it was really hard. When that happened, I felt like they now know. Will I make friends? Will people want to still associate with me? And teachers would come and be like, okay, this is great for you. And then everyone gives you this eye of, okay. And you start getting that pity from people. To some, it would be really nice, but to me, it made me feel like I had failed at keeping my shit together. I felt like we as a family, we had failed to live up to what we were expected of. We had failed to provide the necessities for each other. Whenever I would hear my siblings are back home, I would feel really, really bad. And during that time, my health was suffering all through from primary school. It just became worse. I was always home. And I remember the teachers would always advise my mom, why can't a girl just sit out this year and come and sit the next year? But since I had this thing in my brain, I'm like, I came to study 6 years, I'm not repeating, I have to finish the 6 years. What comes? Let it come. So when I finished school, I went to university and I was so excited. I was like, okay, now university, I'm going to be able to build a career, to build something really big for me and for my family. My siblings are going to get a child which I've got now. Then we're going to have some relief. I was so excited. I worked hard, I had a business. During that time, I was also modeling, I was doing pageantry, which is to also give me some money. So, in between there, as I'm joining campus, I lose another very close friend of mine to cancer. So now, I was confused because during that time joining campus, me and her had made plans together. We had rented a place together. We were sharing a course, we were sharing everything. So now, I'm like, okay, now I need to get someone to navigate this with because all the way to that point, I had not yet faced what I was going through. I had not yet faced my hardships. I was still in avoidance. I was still putting up facades. I was still waking up in the morning and pretending that everything is okay. I'm never allowed to break. Like, I would never cry. You would never find me crying for anything at all. I would even look at people crying. I'm like, why are you crying? Who cried? You know? But when that happened, I could not attend the burial. I could not bring myself to attend the burial because I felt like, okay, now, how am I going to face the reality of this person? This is a third person who is very close to me dying. How am I going to face the reality? How am I going to go out in the world and I have to forge new relationships, have to explain myself to someone new, someone to get to understand me, and all that. Fast forward, when we reached during campus, it had just started. A friend of mine again committed suicide, and me and him, we were cousins at the same time. We were friends. We were very close, like so close. So my whole time I was asking myself, how did you see this coming? This person is always checking on you. You're always going there to check on them. How did you see this coming? Because my life was more like school, fashion shows, pageants, and work. And I would always be working up country. So most of the time I was never in Kampala. And this person would tell me, you know what, Faith, which district are you? They'll get that bus and find me there. They'll be like, no, it's been 2 months, I'm not hearing anything from you. I need to come. I need to see that you're actually fine. So when they passed the suicide note was addressed to me. And that kind of messed me up so much. I felt responsible. And now his parents are asking me, what happened? Since you're the one who knows him more than we know him, tell us what happened. His friend, his roommate, because he committed suicide in hall. And his roommates were all asking me, Faith, what happened? Tell us. And I didn't have answers. I could not attend the burial because I didn't know what I was going to say. And during that whole period, the time I was struggling, I used to self-harm because I felt like it was relief. Every time I bled, I felt like this is relief. I'm feeling, it's like when you're thirsty and you take water, and then you feel like very okay after. That's how I used to feel like. So I would not feel the pain. Like I'll get to hospital when someone finds me, and the doctors are really worried. And like, can't you feel in pain? And I'm honestly not feeling anything. I'm just numb. So after a short while, I was still dealing with the loss of all those people, answering questions, dodging questions. One of my little siblings gets sexually assaulted by a neighbor of ours at the time. And that's really hard because during that time I had stopped campus. We could no longer afford my tuition to continue. So I was home. And I felt like, okay, yes, I was running an organization at the time for the rural areas of Busoga. I was promoting education, morality, and health. And it was going on well. It was really doing well. It was growing at a fast rate. But the money was not coming in as people see. When people see the good pictures, they expect someone to match the pictures they're seeing, which was not the case. So I felt kind of responsible because I was supposed to work hard to get my family from such a neighborhood, to protect my siblings. So I felt responsible. When we tried to pursue the case and what, they tossed my mom around. She received death threats. It was this whole thing, and she just gave up. She's like, you know what? God will deal with them. But when she said that, we were bitter at the time. My siblings were so bitter. Like very bitter people. even before. But when that happened and they saw what happened, they became worse. They became extra bitter. They would never hold a conversation. You'd have to drag them to places. In school, they had no friends. Teachers would always be like, why can't your siblings just make one friend? But they were comfortable. Their lives was that. And that also hurt because I felt like these people deserved to make friends. They deserved a life that was really nice. They deserved to experience all these good things, and I felt responsible. Despite the fact that mom was there working so hard, but I also felt responsible. I'm like, how can a firstborn not have anything credible enough to help their family? So shortly after that, I enrolled in LDC. I started a diploma in law, and yeah, I was performing really well, like so well, and I loved what I was doing so much. Then towards the end, actually time for graduation, they tell me one paper is missing. I didn't do it. I'm like, what do you mean? So for me, everything that had been happening in my life kept coming back. I felt like, okay, something that's just doesn't want me to move forward. Maybe I'm just not meant to get any success in life. And I piled that on top of whatever was going on. And that hurt so much. Like, I'm like, okay. And then, of course, my siblings started asking, Faith is not graduating, man. She joined university a long time ago. Faith, we are not saying a degree. You know, my friend's big sister does this. My friend's big sister does this. But where are you? We call you on PDs, sometimes you don't come. What? And I didn't have answers. And I would not blame them either because they were younger and maybe they could not understand what was going on. So during that time, relatives started putting pressure on them. Where is Faith's graduation? What happened? And she told them she also doesn't know what happened. And when she told them that, most of them thought I needed the money, so you get phone calls, they'd be like, come here, they've been insulted, you know your mother is struggling, what? You ate the tuition, and I'll just keep quiet, I'll not explain, but it hurts. I was like, Mom, you know what we went through. You did not defend me, you just gave me up because you had answers to the questions. So I relied more on friends. And there's this friend I was very close to who was also self-harming at the time. And we would meet and also we would meet, smoke and self-harm the whole day. Like that was the routine for the longest time. Then we started meeting. The number started growing to like 5 people. We all had stuff we were struggling with, but we just meet, just do that. We smoke until you black out. That is smoking weed until you black out. Or some of them would drink until they black out. And then when the first person who gets up, the other tells them, let's go back home. You go back home. When you reach home, you act like everything is fine. You go back to the routine. The next morning, you wake up like you're going to work. You meet in the same spot, like that. So during that time, there's this friend of mine I was talking to, and they were struggling as well. He told me, and before all that, I had a very, very bad attempt. There's an attempt I had that kind of messed in my intestines, and I had to be operated. So before the operation, the doctor told me what was going on, and I told him, I don't tell my mom. So he told us some scientific thing there. She believed. Then he put me aside because there's something called mental illness, there's this and this. What science do you have? He educated me about it, and I did know. Me, I thought that's how I was meant to be, that's how I am, and that's how maybe I would die. I didn't know there are root causes, there are triggers, I didn't know all these terms. So, fast forward, I get to learn all these and that friend of mine also gets information and starts educating me. Shortly after, I start writing the book, slowly by slowly. I wrote this book 5 times. The first time the manuscript got stolen, the second time it got stolen, the third time it got burned, the fourth time it got stolen. The last time I just told myself, just write what you can and go and put this thing out. Because if you keep it again, something might happen. So during that time as I'm preparing, that friend of mine that they kept telling me, Faith, have you got a publisher? We need to do this, we need to do this. They also died. And when they died, I was like, okay, now, who's going to help me with this? I can't find anyone who's going to stand with me in this, who will understand what I'm going through, understand where the book came from. So I gave up, I shelved it, and I relapsed. And during that time, I knew about, now I was educated about my condition. But then I'm still avoiding. I was still avoiding and cutting corners each and every time. And it just got worse. It got worse. It started to show now outside. I started isolating. I ended up in a very toxic relationship. And each time this person beat me or assaulted me, I would be like, it's okay, this is the person who understands that I'm ugly, I'm not worth it. This is the person who understands that I'm nothing, basically. So I'll stay. They would beat me and apologize and be like, no, it's okay. I think I'm the one who annoyed you. They would do that. And I would also feel like, yeah, these are the people, this is the person who understands me. But I did notice that the more I put up with all this and I put up with the toxins inside, it just started becoming toxic on the outside. I looked terrible. I lost so much weight. I would reach a place and everyone is looking at me like, are you about to faint? What's going on? And that made me feel bad because during the day, I'm on the stage, I miss something and I'm speaking to people and I'm speaking a lot of sense. In the night, I'm self-harming, and all these things. But now when it started to show, I stopped doing everything I was doing. And during that time also the organization had got so many issues. We had got death threats. People wanted to buy shares. So we had stopped. And now I kind of withheld from everyone and locked myself up. But the funny thing is, each time I kind of locked up, that's the time I got the most opportunities to show up in people, which was hard. Sometimes I would show up and I'm speaking and I'm shaking. If I know it, I'm like, excuse me, I first go out and I don't come back. I just get aboard and I run away. People get annoyed and people get annoyed, but I felt like a fraud. I'm like, why am I speaking to people when I'm going back in the night to do the same exact thing? Why am I speaking to people when this and this has happened in my life? Like, I have no place speaking to people. All in all is the recovery journey is where you're tested most. And that I learned the hard way. Because me, I thought that once you're in the recovery journey, it's so easy. Like, you're going to wake up in the morning, you're feeling good, you're telling yourself this affirmation, you're telling everyone, I'm positive, I'm better. But that's when circumstances around you just trigger you the most. That's when things start happening in your life test how best you are recovering. But one thing that stood out for me in all of this was the fact that we really, really need the knowledge. And the fact that the people who have the knowledge are also so welcoming. We just don't know why the knowledge is not yet so out there. But these people are always willing to help. And they are the kindest people. They are the kindest people because I remember the first psychologist I spoke to used to chase me around like a puppy. I would hide from them. I would always run around and like, no, I can't show up. But when I determined to put myself on the path of recovery, when I put out the book and saw how much it was impacting, I realized when I put myself on the path to heal and put out the book and how much impact it was making, that was enough for me. I didn't have to do all that, but as long as just one person was impacted with what I was doing. So keep spreading the information, be patient and kind with your people. They're going to get better. I know they will. I know they will. And we as people